Guys, it is Nathan from the Fitting Bay in Melbourne. Today we're going to be reviewing the JVC KW-M560BT. We have installed a few of these units for our customers. Very, very good unit for the price. It's an entry-level unit, so we figured we'll do a review on it. This thing has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto built in. It is wired only, has Bluetooth, USB input, mirroring for Android phones, and it also has a short chassis design, which makes it very easy to install in a lot of vehicles. So what we'll do is we'll unbox it, go through what's in the packaging, look at the unit, see how it works, power it up, and see what you think at the end. Alright guys, at a glance you can see here on the box we've got Bluetooth audio and Bluetooth phone calls. We have a USB mirroring for Android only, digital time alignment, short chassis design which we spoke about earlier. It has a direct steering wheel control input. That is really good for a lot of vehicles, especially older ones, and a rear view camera input. So that's pretty much what's on the package. This is a 6.8-inch LCD display and it is a capacitive touchscreen. So that's another good sign. You basically have the unit itself, the foam holding it in, and then all the wiring and hardware contents are in this package right here. So that is the front of the unit right here. We can see we've got some soft touch buttons on the side. That's the short chassis design. This is the back of the unit. So we have a rear mounted USB. This thing actually tells you on the USB itself that it charges at 1.5 amps. So not the highest, not the lowest, but yeah, still okay. And this is what you're going to plug your phone into for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So on the back of the unit here, you can see we have our FM antenna input, FM and AM I should say, microphone input, AV input. We have our rear out and front out, okay, right here. So rear and front outputs. You have a camera input and a video output. Okay, so it's only got one camera input, it doesn't have two. And we've also got power harness here. Now this uses an ISO plug, which is good, and I'll show you why in a second. And then right here we have a lot of inputs. So we've got parking brake wire. Now we've done a video on how to bypass that. That video is in the top right hand corner. Reverse camera input. So this is going to get 12 volt reverse power. That's going to flick the unit over to the reverse camera image and show you the camera when you're in reverse. You got steering wheel remote input 2, 1 and ground, okay, so that's for hard wiring. And then there's also a steering wheel remote input on its own. So this is common in JVC and Kenwood head units, and basically if you buy a pre-programmed steering wheel control interface, you just have to tap on the key 1 wire directly to that. If you're going to go ahead and program steering wheel controls, then you'll need to tap these 3 onto the steering wheel 1, 2 and ground, and then you can go ahead and set them that way. The subwoofer output is right here as well. Okay, so that's another thing I don't like. There's only one RCA for the subwoofer. I like it when there's 2 channels for that. But anyway, there is ways around that. So that is the unit. Next up we have the packaging. Some more packaging. So we've got a little surround here that can go over the unit depending on how you mount the unit and what fascia you're using. You may or may not need this. Instruction booklets and warranty cards, mounting hardware, more mounting hardware, an extension for the park brake wire. So if you do want to go ahead and hook that up to the park handbrake, you can go and do that. External microphone for Bluetooth phone calls, very good, it's a good sign. And then last but not least, the power harness is ISO. Why this is good? Hold on one second. Now let's just say as an example, you're going to be putting this unit into a Kia. You're going to buy a steering wheel control interface like this one from Connect2 or PAC or whoever you get it from. And basically what's going to happen, this is going to plug into the car. Interface is going to plug in. You'll need a patch lead for steering wheel control, for the steering wheel controls to work. So you'll see back to what we were talking about steering wheel controls earlier. And then you are left with the ISO harness. Now a lot of units have their own plug, like Pioneer, Alpine, Kenwood, they all have their own plugs, and there's also different versions of those plugs depending on the year of the radio. So what you need to do is get this harness, and then you get another harness to plug into this, right? ISO, it's universal. And then on the other end of that harness, you'll have the plug for your head unit. Well, because this unit just uses ISO, you can just plug that directly into the unit. that. So that is a good sign, having ISO on the back. A bad sign of having ISO on the back is sometimes a lot of the cheap, nasty units have ISO on the back. So it could be a characteristic of that, but it's not. This is actually a decent unit. So if you are going to go ahead and plug your steering wheel control interface wire straight into the unit, get the power side, so the black one, and just check that constant, ground, bright, accessories are all in the same location. Because in some harnesses they might be slightly different. I know they're universal, but trust me, sometimes they can be slightly different. So as long as they're all good, you can plug that right in. But on the other side of that, you can just go ahead and plug in those harnesses to the unit after you've hardwired them, and you'll get power. So that's pretty much everything that comes in the box. We'll open this up. Let's get to it right now. Okay, so there's one, and there's also another screen protector on there. We'll leave that one on there, and we'll power this up and we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, we've got the unit powered up. This is in demo mode, but basically if you just press this home button right at the bottom here, that's going to bring you to your home screen, and this is what the home screen looks like. We've got a volume down, a volume up button. Okay, we've got a page button here, so this is like a quick settings page. You've got settings, we've got a apps page, display off, audio settings, camera view, and brightness and color settings for the head unit. If you ever in anything you want to get out, just go ahead and press that button right there to bring you right back home. And you've got a voice control button here when your iPhone or Android phone is connected. You can quickly press and hold as well to go screen off. Tap it, it'll bring it right back on. Okay, so on the home page you can see here we've got AM and FM radio. We've got the apps button. It's going to expand the menu and bring up a lot more apps. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well. USB mirroring, settings, and phone for Bluetooth. So if we go ahead and press the apps button, you can see here we've expanded the menu. So we've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth audio, USB input, AV off, AV in, and we've still got some of the other apps that we saw before. Okay, if we just press X on that, it'll bring us right back to where we were. We can go into settings, and here you see, now this might look familiar to a lot of people, exactly like a Kenwood unit. This layout is almost the exact same. So here we've got camera settings. Oops, let's try that again. We've got camera settings, user interface settings. Okay, so in here you've got the beeps. When you touch the screen, you've got beep feedback. You can turn that on or off. Language, steering wheel control settings, time and date settings, and that's all in there. You've got display settings as well, so the dimmer can sync. You've got the clock, screen adjustment, background. So there's a few different images here that you can choose from, and you can also import your own images from a USB. Okay, then we've got AV settings. So in here you've got AV output. You can turn that on if you are going to use the output. CarPlay sidebar set for the right side, okay, because our car's a right-hand drive, and then AV color adjustment if you want to go ahead and use that. In special settings, you're going to have demo, so we'll always turn that off after we've fit these units. Software information, initialization, so that's the first page when you first ever boot the unit up. It'll ask you for some settings. That's that page right there. Bluetooth settings, okay, so you can go in here, select a device, pair to the device. It's very easy to pair to. Device settings here, so Android Auto, or you can go ahead and change that to Android mirroring. Okay, so that USB that we saw before, when you plug into it, if you're selected on Android Auto, obviously it will bring up Android Auto, and if you're selecting mirroring, then you can go ahead and mirror your Android device to the unit, so you can use some other apps that might not be licensed with Android Auto. Then in the top right hand corner we've got audio settings. In here you've got volume offset, there's sound effect settings, okay, so bass booster and loudness, you can turn them up or down depending on how much bass you want and how loud you want the sound system. Fader and balance, so obviously balance the speakers left and right, make sure it's all sounding good. Positioning, so if you want to do time alignment settings, you can go ahead and play with that. So you can either pick front, left, right, or you can go in and actually adjust time alignment, so that's pretty cool. Equalizer has a 13 band equalizer. You can go ahead You can select a preset setting, so you've got pop, easy music, top 40, powerful, user settings. Okay, you can go in and change them yourself, as you can see that I'm doing right now. You can get it sounding just the way you want it. Speaker and crossovers, so you can set the car type, the size of the speakers, the location of the speakers, and then you can go ahead in here and change all of the crossover settings. So high pass filter, you can set it, all right, let's say you wanted it at what, say 80 Hertz or 60 Hertz, a little bit of slope. So that's very good that it has these settings, because these settings here can really help with how your car speakers sound. Okay, apart from that, that's pretty much the settings side of things and the setup. Let's go home. That's the home page as we saw earlier. I'll go ahead and connect my phone and we'll have a look at Apple CarPlay. All right, so I've plugged in my iPhone cable to the USB. You can go ahead and do that with an Android cable as well if you have an Android device. Plug your phone in, it will ask you if you want to allow CarPlay, and then boom, straight into Apple CarPlay. I'll leave my phone up there. Here you've got your phone, music, maps, messages. You can go back home, so you can get out of CarPlay and just be back at the home screen. But you'll see now that Apple CarPlay is illuminated, so you can go ahead and enter that at any time. Great thing about CarPlay, you've got Apple Maps, so navigation. We've got Spotify, Google Maps, Waze Maps, iHeartRadio. So for anyone that wants digital radio, you don't have to get a digital radio head unit. You can just get something like this and use iHeartRadio through CarPlay, okay? So that's CarPlay. Android Auto is the same thing, but with an Android phone. I can't show you that because we don't have an Android device with us. But that's pretty much the system there. AM, FM we looked at. There you go. So that's FM there. Go ahead and set your stations. AM, same, it's pretty straightforward. You can get out of there. And that is pretty much this JVC unit wrapped up. Alright guys, that is pretty much the JVC unit. Some of the pros to this unit: it is affordable, short chassis design, has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto built in, and it has a great music equalizer built in. Some of the downsides or the cons to this unit: it's got a low level output for RCAs. They're only 2 volt, so very low. I'd like to see that a bit higher. 1 RCA output for subwoofer. Again, like to see 2 channels for that. The steering wheel control input is only wires, so for new guys or DIYs, it's going to make steering wheel controls a headache. So no plug on there. And it's only got 1 camera input, so you can do a reverse camera, you can't do a front camera. So that's pretty much it. Other than that, it is a great little unit. If you guys want to reach out to us for installation, purchasing, if you have any questions at all, just drop a comment below or reach out to us on www.shoptfb.com. And thank you all so much for watching. Like the video, leave a comment. Catch you in the next one.